What's going on, everybody? We're live Sunday morning, and today we're working on a new project. This chassis. I picked this up on Facebook last week. It was for sale for 6 minutes when I saw the listing pop up, and I scooped it up. It's a VS4-10, had a VFD in it, custom chassis, and custom body. Now, my plan is to actually take the solid axle SCX3 conversion we did on this like 10 weeks ago and swap the running gear into the new one so that this truck is sitting on its own. And then I'll find a set of wheels and tires around and get it bolted on too so I can have a roller. But the point of these Sunday streams is just mainly Q&A. I try and spend as much time focusing on the actual chat as I can. So that's the deal. Hopefully everyone's having a good Sunday. I'm not sure. I'm just getting my chat oriented because I didn't do that beforehand for some reason. So there we go. Again, hopefully you're all having a good Sunday. Appreciate you guys all checking in. We'll see. Yeah, this popped up, like I said, on Facebook, and it was what I pay for this. $395, I think he had this for. It was like $375 or $395. But it's brand new. It's never been ran. It's got a custom Cerakote on it, as well as the whole chassis. The body also new. VFD is in it. It's complete. Yeah. So it's it also has the VS4-10 Origin grill inserted into the body. I thought that was a super cool detail that he did. Now, we don't have a bumper on there. I'll probably throw a regular VS4-10 bumper. And yeah, that's, but yeah, for the price, I was like, it's too good of a deal to pass up. So there we go. Sound a little better. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, there was no live stream on Friday, so sorry about that. Hello from Sweden. Just finished. Girlfriend and I are putting a kid to bed. Yeah, perfect. See, these Sunday streams are perfect for everybody overseas. How much space is between the chassis and axle on full compression? Oh, you mean on the VS4-10 with the straight axle? I mean, you can see it's tight. It's basically like it should be, you know. And then on the rear, you've got a little bit more room. So there you go. Let's see. Will you post the Noob Fusion 360 video? Finally got a printer. Have been printing smaller stuff. Yeah, I haven't done any more of the Fusion videos, but we'll see. Maybe one day. What happened to the Friday show? Yeah, Friday, Nicole and I both just weren't feeling well, so we didn't do a show. But they'll be back next week. I've got a package from Brian Sherwood, who's in here. And we'll be building a setup that he sent me on next Friday's stream. Bought my first Vanquish part, Yeti trailing arms. There you go. Use one pre-runner. What cab is that? Do you know? Does anybody know exactly? I think this is the Ford. Is it the F100? I think it is. I think that's the F100 cab. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure. Something like that. So yeah, there you go. Phoenix said it. Ford F100. Yep. 66 Ford F100. That sounds pretty much correct. So yes, that's going to be our plan for today. We're going to pull everything that we had off of this, move it over. Now, if you guys remember, this was like this was the one that we did during this live stream, and I kind of figured out what links I needed to make the SCX3 straight axle conversion set mount up under the VFD, and it's, I believe that this is 100% ready to go at this point. I might adjust one or two things, but because this isn't the actual production version of the links installed on here, so that's why. That Cerakote, yeah, the Cerakote does look good. It's like a cool bronzy color, and it's got a heavy metal flake in it, which doesn't come across in video, but yeah. And also, I think we're going to see, but the overhead camera appears to work. Let's not get ahead of ourselves yet, but I think I need to, do I need to rotate that around? I feel like it feels upside down. Let's, yeah, that feels better, right? There we go. Okay. As I say, something didn't look right about that. So, metal flake, you can see it a little bit better in that view, actually, huh? But you can see the bed. Yeah, it's got stacks in the chassis itself. Yeah, so there we go. We shall see. That's the plan for today. We'll start slowly working on this as I continue to try my best to read all the comments I can. Would the SCX3 portal axles use the same links? I believe that is the case. I know that I named it one way, but I don't know that I probably could have named it more universally, but I haven't tried it. Sorry, excuse me for clearing my throat. I have to have Nicole bring me some water. Is that a homemade cage or? Well, I bought it from somewhere, but it is a custom build. It's not one that you can just buy. So, yes and yes. Red 5, many thanks for the answer. Greetings from Germany. Thanks for checking in. Got my SCX3 running recently. I was really disappointed, so tempted to sell it and replace it with a VS4-10. Are there any resellers in Europe? There are resellers in Europe. You know, let's see. I know there's a handful, and of course I'm going to blank. I don't know what part of Europe you're in, but and I don't know necessarily all the names of the shops. I know a number of the names of the shop owners, but I don't necessarily always remember the shop names. So I may have to kind of divert the question. So I'm going to set that there, and I'm going to strip this one down. What are your thoughts on that new scale engine for the VS4-10? Oh, that looks that looks pretty rad from Mad NGH. God, I mean, it was that, and his videos both look pretty awesome. So we are all waiting on the edge of our seats for the kitty reveal. That is supposed to be next weekend, so we shall see. Not this weekend. I am super nervous for that, though, because he is supposed to be huge. I ran into big clearance issues fitting Vanquish portals with MIP shafts under my Gladiator. Can you recommend some good to aid at CAD printing and a complete redesigned front chassis brace? On the Gladiator. Oh, is it just the, I guess I'd have to see where you're actually running into issues. That's interesting. So, good morning, coffee needed babysitting for 2 days. Whew, that sounds like a lot of work. All right, pull the servo out of this first. Do you know what the ratio is between the Vanquish and TRX4's ratio is between in competition? What do you mean by in competition? I don't understand that question, sorry. Why does no one make a transfer case with a PTO winch? It seems like it would be much more powerful. Perry, I think the problem is because a lot of times in competition, you find yourself, you want to winch without actually having the tires going. And you'd have to like perfectly match the speed of the winch to the actual tire so you didn't constantly remove pressure. I think it would be a little more difficult than like in the full scale world, you know, where you can have the motor running and you have the ability to use a clutch or whatever on the chassis rather than, so I think that's why. Okay, removing shocks. Blake Delaney, or Denley. Appreciate it, sir. Blake Denley. I broke 2 of the thread ends off of my Wraith lower links. Is it possible to buy just the lower links from Vanquish? You can send an email through the website, and customer service might be able to help you out on there, especially include some photos. I assume that it's on some stainless links or something like that. Breaking 2 ends off. That must have been pretty gnarly, whatever it was. So what does the new Kitty run on? Brushless or brushed power? I'm just hoping that he doesn't run on pure anger. Whoops. Where do you find the roll bar? Where do I find the roll bar for my new VS4-10? If you mean like I've seen 3D printed ones that you can purchase, but if you're actually looking for a metal one, I don't know that I have a solution for you there. I can send you pics if you like. Just tell me where to send them. Pilot, if you go to, or was that the same question? What's going on, RC Patina guy? Crawling professionally in You mean like what is the number of VS4-10s crawling in competition versus TRX4s? Oh, I don't know that anybody would be able to find that information. 10-foot cartwheel downhill. Yeah, I could see it. That kitty will be full catnip power. Oh, you should have seen Suki going crazy over a can of catnip yesterday. She was going nuts. So let's see. Do I have screws? Nope. I'm going to need to rob some of these. Hello from Lyons, Oregon. Starting an Axial Raw Builder's Kit. Oh, granddaughter. Hey, congrats. That should be fun. Whoops. Let's see if we can keep this overhead working for more than 90 seconds, like it previously was doing. My overhead camera, for those who aren't regular watchers, has been a constant issue, and with freezing and just, so I replaced the capture card. I put a new PCIe USB in the PC itself to make sure bandwidth wasn't an issue, and I changed out the entire HDMI run all the way from the camera across my cable truss above. I have a 10-foot truss that runs in this room from the wall over here over top of me to the other wall. So like my camera's mounted on it, cables go up and over and down, and it's so everything, replaced every single piece except the camera to hopefully fix this issue. Hey, Brian, thank you very much. That build would look great on my shelf. Don't put too much money in it. All right, rear axle is out. Now let's finish pulling the front. Looking forward to seeing this thing on its own 2 feet. Just finished building my VS4-10 Pro. Polar Pro V2 35. The VFD transmission is loud at high speeds compared to my other cars. Is that normal? There is a lot of gears in the VFD, so it could be a little bit louder, but one thing to note is that there's something that I've noted, I guess, over the last few years, is that the actual spur gear that we use in the VFD is a hard material. And that spur gear can be a little bit louder. And I guess it was just the material that we chose for strength. But if you go to some of the other spur gears that are a little bit softer, like a Kimbrough, then it may quiet it down. So if you think that it's too loud for you, it uses a universal bolt pattern. But the material itself is hard just for strength. So if you want to quiet it down, you can always change that out to another brand and it'll be a little bit softer. Might not be quite as strong, but it's worth a shot. Nick Moore, the PCI USB should fix it. So I changed the PCI USB first, and it didn't fix my issue, which was super, because everyone had always talked about the bandwidth issue on the USB bus. So I was like, okay, threw the PCI card in there, didn't fix my issue on its own. The last thing that I changed was the HDMI cable, and after I changed that, it fixed it. But I don't know if it was a combination of everything or what, but I also went to a EVGA XR1 capture card on it, and I got rid of the Elgato, and it fixed it as well. I don't know. I was disappointed that just the PCI card didn't fix it, but at this point, I didn't know what to think. All right. Can you? So sorry, I'm missing a bunch of questions as I'm slightly focused on this part of it, but okay. Old chassis is out. This was the VS4-10 chassis kit that we had initially used to mock up the SCX3 straight axles. And the only reason I'm removing it is because this one is already done and custom Cerakoted. So that's why we pulled everything out of this one to put it in there. This already has the VFD and everything, so I'm just saving myself some time. Okay. Is that a flat rail chassis? Negative. You should give us a view of your studio sometime. I always want to do that, except the studio outside of camera view is a disaster. We'll see. I hope to be able to make some progress on getting some stuff cleaned up this week. Can I rant? Found out my MST RMX 2.0 came 2 days early, but guess what I learned? A freaking RTR RC box apparently won't fit inside. UPS won't walk to the door. Oh, so they did. Well, at least it didn't get delivered and then you didn't get it. Like someone took it. Could have been worse, Dale. But it always does suck when something's supposed to come for the weekend and then it doesn't, and you have to wait until Monday. Like, ah. All right. So it's always interesting starting to work on a new custom chassis because you just never know what kind of access issues a tube is going to cause or anything like that. But so far, we'll see. And I'm also trying not to drag this chassis across. I'm sure, yeah, putting my hat right into the view. I also don't want to drag the chassis all over the desk and cause a bunch of scratches. Let's get in the hole. Killing me, Smalls. There we go. Oh, screw needs to come out another turn or so. There we go. It's in. All right. I'm thinking you would love to put a partial bomber interior that, I think you're 100% correct, Brian. I think that I think an intact bomber interior will fit inside of this chassis, honestly. I think we're all in luck because I think I also have one. Or three. I think I ordered one the other day and then I looked in the box here and I was like, oh, I have several. Let's see. As an aircraft mechanic, nothing should make cringe more than someone using pliers on it. I do love, this is my little Craftsman 5.5 mil, and it's so handy. Now I will use needle nose pliers on many occasion in RC, but that little 5.5 mil, one of the handiest little extras to have in the box. This plastic is a little chewed up on one side. This car's definitely been assembled. It just hasn't been ran. So let's see. Okay. We're going to a different view as I am going to struggle with this for half a second. Oh. Popping the ball off. I got it. Don't worry. Okay. What axles am I using? These are Axial SCX-10-3 straight axles. And it looks like this link mount, I think what happened is that, you know, have you ever got the pivot ball just slightly at an angle, but then you started tightening the screw down and it like wedges it in there and it marred up this plastic a bunch. Not terrible, but it's just got like a hard lip that got pushed and kind of messed up the plastic ever so slightly. I've done that 100 times, but can make inserting the link the second time a little bit more difficult. Come on. And of course, it always makes for great live video. Watching someone struggle to put a link in the pocket. Oh God. This is fantastic. I am going to go. What's the difference between 10-3 straight axles and 10-2? The difference is mainly, well, style in the rear basically is the big difference. I think the axle shafts in the rear might be a tad different, but in the front, the pumpkin is offset, and that's the big thing because then you can use the VFD transmission and clear without any issue. See, it works fine when you're not having to finagle the whole axle around. Falls right in. There we go. Dang, I'm late. What's happening? We are currently working on installing SCX-10-3 straight axles into a new custom chassis that I picked up on Facebook last week. Good old Facebook Marketplace. I'm pretty good at trying to swoop in and if I see these custom chassis builds that look really good, I usually try and just swipe them up as fast as I can because I know that they're one of those things. Like a good custom chassis is hard to find, and it's one of those, you know, it's an item that is hard to replace. You can't just go to A-Main and pick one up. Man, he actually works on his trucks. My TRX4 has been laying a part of the bench for the past 8 months. You know, I'm always working on something, but where do I go? What groups do I go? So Facebook, you know, is, I can't remember which one this one was in. I think, this might've been in the VS4-10 group actually, just because it is a VS4-10 chassis, but I'm a member of a lot of groups. So I just, when they pop up, and it's mainly when they pop up in my news feed. I don't necessarily like go to the groups to see what's for sale. Even the shock mounts are nice and accessible. That's a bonus. I'll bet Josh is. I don't think that I haven't bought anything on an eBay auction in I don't know how many years. I did try the other day, but price went way up and I was out. It was for another 3-wheeler. Surprise. Surprise. Okay. Just gonna get these rear shocks in place. Let's see. A good custom chassis is a good find. Yes, it is good to find. I can be pretty picky on chassis too. This one is nice work. It's not, you know, it's not like the highest of high qualities. Oh, yes, dropping frames. Looks like it's coming back. We're almost back. Not back. Oh, I need to replace that upper link still. And so looks like my frames have returned. I've picked them back up. Let's hope that that's not a trend for today, but it should be okay. Struggle bus. Okay, I got to reattach that one upper link that I removed for the other issue, but not the highest of qualities, much like these strings. Ha, 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 ha. So funny, Matt. So glad you could join just for your witty banter. Yes, I will make Nicole stop using all the Wi-Fis. Okay. And we're gonna have to find a set of wheels and tires around here that I think will fit. Oh, you know what? I do think that I've got on that red Power Wagon back there, the final color that I want to go on that is black and white, and I had a set of blue wheels on it, and I think maybe I'll steal those. Is that frame finish a form of powder coating? It's called Cerakoting, Brian, which is it's kind of like powder coating, but I think I believe that it's got a ceramic side to it, but I think it's done very similarly. There we go. Yeah, I think that's going to work out well. Being the style of this cage, this is one of the applications I could do the Vanquish extended aluminum shock towers and get this thing sitting super low. But we'll see how the ride height is. This is not a light chassis. Maybe once we get everything done and mounted up to it, I'll throw it on, I'll break out the scales and we'll take a look at that. Okay. How long do you guys think that I'm going to struggle with this part? Guesses? Does anyone have metal stuff for the VS4-10 besides CC hand? There's custom items, but also the width of the VS4-10 chassis and the bolt pattern is the same as, ooh, someone had a really, really wrong screw in this link. Man, that thing had to be touching the transmission. We're going to check that out. Hello from Wolverine, Michigan. Is that a real... Oh. I mean, I know they're called the Wolverines there, but I didn't know that would be a name of a town. It's kind of rad. Let's see. Yeah, we're going to need to go with a shorter screw there because that one was out of hand. Okay. First link fell into place. Lucky for us. Hold, please, while I... Okay, there we go. Anyway, like I was saying, the width of the VS4-10 chassis as well as a lot of the bolt patterns is the same as SCX. So a lot of things will fit cross-platform. It's definitely a nice look. Yes, it is. Small town, but even better. Stabby Josh, thank you. Can you recommend a servo saver for a full-size servo to keep it from being binding with a Hertz dig? Ooh. I have never used a servo saver on a Hertz dig, Josh, but God, I was trying to think like even with a servo saver, I would. So the reason that I would kind of recommend against it is because even with a servo saver, if a servo is out of adjustment and still pushing, while the servo saver will be, kind of loosening up, it'll still have that same pressure, and therefore it'll still burn up a servo. So I think I would have to go back to, walking through EPAs instead. Wife and I are attempting to buy a house again. Forgot how much paperwork was involved. Wish us luck. Average sales are going 75 to 150,000 over listing price. Oh, man, Dale, I know exactly what, I wish you the best of luck and anybody trying to buy a house right now. It's definitely got us just in the not gonna buy mood right now because it's so crazy. Thank you for putting my truck together for me. Let me know when to wire the cash. All right. 2 links down. This one's going much faster than the rear did. Will Vanquish ever have black servo horns? We did one time, maybe we still do, in the outlet, but they were just, they were actually a mistake. So for those of you who don't know, there's an outlet section on the Vanquish website where like misplated parts or things like that show up. Sometimes, depending on the part, they're discounted, you know, like if it's a improper finish. If it's just like a wrong color or a wrong finish that just makes it different but not bad, then they're not necessarily cheaper. It's just they're not a normal part, so they don't find their way to the regular listings. So you can always check there for little random bits. What would be a good RC crawler under $250? I'd see if you could find a deal on like a SCX-10-2 deadbolt. Or I think you could find like a, what's the Element Trail Walker? Try $500,000 over asking here in Toronto, Matt. That's absolutely nuts. I think I'd have to sell for that price and move into an RV, because that's insanity. Let's see. I'd need an RV with a large trailer though to hold all of my stuff. My mobile CNC shop. Finally found a house, got accepted, took 4 months. Good Lord. Talking about like 150,000 over asking. Like, we sold our last house in Missouri for $150,000. It was on an acre. I had that beautiful shop downstairs. Like, the house upstairs was still nice. I mean, it was starter house nice, but still, like, that's absolutely nuts. Yes, servo horn 24mm in the so 24mm. Is it the 24 tooth though, or 20? I think it's the 24 tooth. So they're not as popular as the 25. Okay. Getting close to having this thing on its own feet. Yeah, houses do suck to buy right now. Is this a selling project? Yeah, this is definitely going to be a project that I don't plan to keep forever. I'm just going to probably get it up and running, maybe finish some things on it. I don't really know. I don't have a plan or how far I plan to take it before selling it. So we shall see. But yeah, this isn't a long-term project. Can't move into an RV because they all sold too. People, especially snowbirds, across the board. Yeah, that's God. Yeah. RVs or anything like power sports related too. Yeah, you can't find everything. It's crazy. Oh, too long. Just curious, is Vanquish stuff made in the USA? Most of our stuff is made in the USA. That's where I go to work every day. We're here in Sacramento, so that's where most of our stuff is made. Now, some stuff like in the There's a number of things that aren't. And everything's like very clearly noted on the packaging of things that are not made in the USA. Nothing is hidden. Like everything it's very clearly marked. You know, like on the tools we sell, we state on there the tool tips are made overseas, the handles and everything made in United States, like little things like that. Everything we talk about is very, very clear. Josh, you could get the setup like Cletus. Yeah, right. Yeah, that's as much as a freaking house here. She's a beaut though, right? Is this a start to flip that truck? I mean, not officially, but I guess. Kind of. Kind of. All right. Put these back in. This servo here is a Unity, which was given to me by one of our dealers overseas like 2 years ago. And it's probably been in 10 builds, but I've never used it. I've just always put it in something. And I mean, it's like a nice all aluminum servo and it's supposed to have decent power, but I've just, it's the weirdest thing. I've installed it in a build that's never ended up running, like taking it out, put it in, taking it out, put it in. How much is that build cost you to build this? So the chassis I paid about $400 for. SCX3 straight axles are what, like 140 or 150 bucks for the conversion. Then it's got a set of incision links. So that's like 60. The conversion links are another like 15. Shocks are about 100 bucks. I'm not adding any of that up. I'm just talking out loud. So if you sell it, ballpark what you're asking for a build like this to be. You know what? That's a great question. I don't know yet because by the time it's got I assume I'll put electronics in it. I assume I'll do a number of things like that. So it's still a ways off before I can really define what I'm looking for. Okay, so all of that is on there. We got her sitting on her own. Did I put? Nope, I didn't put the drive shaft back in. We'll do that, and I need to put the I'm gonna go grab that power wagon and we're gonna steal those wheels and tires because I think that, well, we'll see what that blue looks like against the teal that it's about to get paired with. It might not look right. We may have to take it off. Facebook offer. I only have about $30. Yeah. So let's put the body back on because that always makes things look better. And I tell you what though, everything lines up well. Like I just drop the body on and then the body screws are perfectly aligned. Like little things like that are not to be underappreciated on a custom build. Just putting the body tabs and everything on and then actually getting the holes cut properly. course, I say that on one side, and then I go to do it on the other. And it's pretty close. How about $20 down and $20 a week for a real, real long time? Call JG Wentworth, 877 cash now. Do you have an annuity and need cash now? Now I'm going to have JG Wentworth stuck in my head. Okay. There we go. Let's put some wheels and tires in this thing. I thought the cage was the front and thought that it was a unique to have the engine in the back. No, it's just a normal truggy. Okay, grabbing the other one. This was another Facebook steal, but this one I have a little bit loftier goals for as far as like the finished project. So we'll see. We'll see. I don't know if I don't know if I dislike that strongly or don't dislike that. I don't know. Let's take off two. The blue and the red is not the final look. That was just how, since the body was going to get redone, I was like, I think I'm going to put blue on there. No, the white 310. No, those rims don't work. Okay. The white 310s off of my Jeep. Okay. Let's put the wheels back on the Power Wagon then. And we'll take them off my Jeep up there. Now I don't know that those will be the wheels to stay on there, because I really like those white 310s. I'd have to have more done. I think bronze with Phillips. The problem with bronze is that the cage is kind of bronze on this, and it's like if you paint a body orange and trying to put orange wheels on it. It's not the same. So you have to differ, I think. Otherwise, okay. Let's check. Oh. Let's see. Well, that's interesting. What did I do with my 8mm wheel wrench? I stole my own wheel wrench somehow. Isn't that interesting? I wonder what I did. The good news is that I've got an adapter here. Okay. I think I know what I did with my 8mm. I just haven't needed it yet, and that has made me forget. Okay. Ooh. For those of us that don't have custom whites, it would be black silver, I'm thinking. Yeah, I think that's that's not a bad idea, black and silver. But I think that maybe if these look really good, which I think they might look like kind of properly retro on here, that I think I could have another set actually custom coated. And drop that back on. Just pulled 2 off for now. You ever come back to the RC Speedy chassis? I did not. Never got anything else done on that. I don't know that I will. I really just didn't like it. So I feel like that's gonna have to, I'll probably get rid of that truck, that chassis at least. I'll probably keep the drivetrain. I think this is going to be the ticket. Go. It's like a big reveal. I try and spin it and it just... I think those are the right look. Yeah, that's going to work out quite well, I think. So we're going to pull the other 2, put them on there, and set this thing on its own so it's not drooped out all the way. It will look much better when it's not in full droop. White wheels plus white wheels and a speed shop garage style door decal. I think that's actually a pretty good idea. Get a patinaed body even look pretty good on this. Needs 155s. Ew. Ew. I'm very anti 155s. These wheels, though, do look so good. It's got a clear, this is a gray beadlock ring on it. It's a Cerakoted white Method 310. Rusty did the custom Cerakote for me. And they just came out so good. Now I did these before Scale Hardware came out, so I could put Scale Hardware on this. It would actually even look a little better, or at least for the center. Looks good. Scott G, thank you very much, sir. It's much appreciated. Tube standing up next to the cab. Exhaust stacks. I do believe that is what their intention was for that. Do you need to use the fan on a Mamba X with a Holmes Hobby 2700 kV? Let's see. Mine, so it generally doesn't, mine doesn't normally come on. So the fan on them like comes on immediately when you plug them in, but then once you start going, I think they turn off and they don't turn on until it hits a temperature. It's always nice to have them. I would suggest running it if possible, but if you can't, then, we probably don't have to. I do believe that the Mamba X has a temperature data log. So you could go into your Castle Link, set your settings to only capture temperature data, and just see how it runs you know, after doing a 20 or 30 minute test and just checking it out, making sure it stays at a reasonable temperature. Did you braze the cage or buy? I bought the cage off of Facebook last week. I think I paid like $3.95 for it or something like that. So that sits pretty well. The you know, this rear upsweep, it's a little far forward, you know, of the actual, like it kind of looks like a wheel well, but it's not like right actually over the wheel, but it's not a big deal. It still fits fine, even with narrow hubs. The tire won't touch the chassis. It's maybe it barely will if you force it, but it actually sits really, really good. Any idea who built the cage? I have no idea, Ben. But I'd say it was you know, for what I paid with it, I'm pretty happy. And drop all that in there. So yeah, this is let's adjust. The wheel openings on these old bodies is kind of awkward, but it still works all right. Oh, that servo actually hits the chassis. Maybe that's why I never run this servo. Gonna have to change out the servo, but we'll put a VS4-10 bumper on the front. Yeah, because the front fenders, I agree, they are going to rub with that big of a tire. It's basically cut just to stock body lines at this point, so it would need more of an actual cut or small tires, but we shall see. We should probably see if a bomber interior fits. Let's watch some comments. Do you have any of the Predator compound crawlers? I got a set and I think they have less grip than G8. They feel slippery after. I do have Predator of several things in Hyraxes and crawlers. I don't like the Predator compound. I always stick with G8. That's always my my preference. I'm putting a VS4-10 with SCX-10.3 axles. Do I need special length drive shafts? Nope. Drive shafts are standard kind of SCX-10.2. That's what the drive shafts on here are, SCX-10.2 version. And that's what I'm running, because this is SCX-3 axles with a VS4 chassis. So there you go. And Josh puts a Lloyd body. C1 or C2. I think that, you know, honestly, this probably make a better C1, being that it's a super wide body. And there you go, 155s. When are you going to do your budget tube bending show? Hopefully here in the not so distant future. We'll see. I do have a set of Class 1 crawlers here, actually. What time is it? We've been going for an hour. I don't know. Should I put Class 1 crawlers on here? Or are they is it Class 0 crawlers? I think they're Class 0, aren't they? That's definitely too small. I don't think I have any of the maybe just 419s. I'd have to double check. What's the wheelbase? 12.3. Standard VS4-10 wheelbase. 419 is best. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, no. I don't have anything here on 419s, so. But I don't know. Maybe with the front wheel openings, maybe a 419 would be the route to go. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I dyed my SCX-10.3 straight axle diffs black. That would help the color for you. Could. I don't know that I'm going to go to that much effort, though. Predator better in the snow and cold. west side of Washington. I think maybe, but like I said, I've tried the Predator in a number of different situations, and I always feel like I go back to my G8s and I'm just happier. 419 BFG KM3s. Yeah. Oh, you know what? Hold on a second. Okay. I have 2 boxes of wheels and tires here. So, in this box, these are, I don't know, these are KO2s, but these are like a set of custom bronze roosts that I have. But those would actually probably look really good on here. But like I said, the bronze, see, the 2 bronzes don't match. They don't look as bad in video as in person, but that's why I don't do bronze. And like when you try and match colors. So, do I have any other 419s? Does not appear so. In that box. So yeah, these are the class 0 crawlers, which are, these are the 3.85, way too small. No, no other ones. Have to be something different in the future. That's okay. I do have a custom set of SHRs. They're really hard to see. The light is a little blown out, but these are like an old school style wheel that we made at Vanquish for a little bit. But these are a 2.2, so it'd have to be like a small 1.9 stretched on 2.2. Is trimming the fender well out of the question? Not really, but I also don't plan to keep this myself. So if I minimize the hacking that I do personally, someone else can do whatever they want. Front axle could move forward 1/4 inch. Well, it touches right here as well. Like it's in the tire right there. So we'll see. I'm not super concerned about it. Like I said, I'll probably put some more, some smaller tires on it. Possibly these wheels, I'm not sure. And then, like I said, a bomber interior, because obviously, and maybe some electronics, and then be able to move this thing down the road. Now we know the real reason Vanquish is out of some things. Josh is the inventory at home. Right. Yeah, it's a very small amount in comparison. Can you swap the links front to back to push the front tires forward and bring the rear in? No. For one, there's a different amount of links in the front and the rear. The axle geometry is totally different. And the difference is only like 4 millimeters, right? It's like 117 in the front for the lowers and 122 in the rear. So it's a 5 millimeter difference. So it'd be almost unnoticeable. I mean, not unnoticeable, but only a little bit. So it really wouldn't do much for us. But yeah, those slot mags are sick. They're 2.2 though. So it's not exactly the right look for this. It would have to take just the right setup. what size tire does Vanquish run? Out of the box, the VXTs are 4.65. So these are 4.75, and the stock VXT tires are 4.65. Here's a stock VP tire on an aluminum wheel. You can see that, well, they're nearly the same size, just a hair smaller. But yeah, so I'm pretty happy with this little setup. I think it'll work. I think we'll put a nice bumper on there. Again, he put the Origin grill in this body, and I think that's perfect. We need to get a light kit for it. I need to install a radiator behind this grill, because the stock radiator for the VS4-10 Origin will mount right up, because right now you can see through it. So we'll throw a radiator on that. That'll clean that up. I'll find a light kit. We'll install a light kit in this. Get that done. Plug and play. Front bumper. Drop that on. Technically, I bet I could fit the wheel wells in here even. It'd be really close. It's almost in the factory body position is why I say that. So I bet it would work. And that would get that whole thing kind of closed up, because it would close all the way up into the floor. Be pretty close. What size would that wheel and tire be in full size? Well, we'd have to look at kind of the scale of this body in general. Since we don't have the bed, you know, we would have to look. These trucks are decent size, but I mean, so you're gonna have to think it's probably close to 1/9 scale, 1/8.5 scale, somewhere in that range. So if you take 4.75 times 9, that would make it a 42. If it's 8.5-ish, so 4.75 times 8.5, it'd be a 40. So big tire, but not a insane. I mean, not unrealistic for an off-road truck kind of styled after this. So. But yeah, the VS4-10 grill did fit perfectly, like you said, Ben. I mean, just so well. Whoever did that. What body is it? It's the Proline 66 Ford F100. And I'm not sure what color it's painted, but simple color, but done well. Excuse me. Apologize. So, looks good. Body rub? Yes. Yeah, body rub. Who cares? Just make it go. In general, it's a pretty clean looking truck. I think that once this is done, we'll add some cool custom touches to it and call it a day. You know, I've got, most likely that I'll throw some basic electronics in this, nothing crazy, but I'll probably throw like a Holmes brushed motor in here, maybe a Hobbywing ESC. Might be fun to go drive this before it leaves. So maybe it won't leave perfectly new, but I'll make a video on it, and it'll at least leave here tested. So looks like PS54 cobalt green. Is that what it is? Did you get the body in cage for 350? I thought it was like 395. Excuse me. I'm gonna have to ask Nicole to bring me water. But the setup was the chassis, cage, body, and transmission for that price. And so the whole deal though was, I mean, I think it was definitely worth it, being that the cage is all nice and custom coated with the chassis to match. Put axle extensions so it won't rub. That makes rubbing worse in many cases, and I'd never run axle extensions. Because if you do that, if you run axle extensions, what you're doing is increasing your scrub steer, which increases the amount the tire swings around. So that would make it get much harder into the chassis back here, because it would increase that radius, and the same in the front corner. So it would actually make things much worse. So axle extension's not necessarily it's the opposite of what you would think. But I'm not really sure what to, the rear is, now the VS4-10 chassis brace is nice because it kind of fills things in. It's got the fuel cell, it kind of looks appropriate, but there's not anything else going on back there. So it's, I don't know if I'll do anything back there or not, but it seems like it could use something. We'll see. It doesn't need a rear bump or anything because that's all, kind of tied into that bed. But yeah, for the cost, if you were just getting a cab like this, you're going to be, say, $40. I think it's probably closer to $50. The transmission is a VFD kit, so that's $100. The chassis kit itself is about $100. So you're 200 and say 40 in just the actual cab and chassis transmission. So you're paying $150 for the metal work, like, plus the coating work. The coating, like, $50 wouldn't even touch it. But say it's $50, then you're only $100 to have to get the metal work. Like, that is a steal of a price. Just an absolute steal. Stamped aluminum rear bed. Yeah, I know that would be a nice touch. I wouldn't mind doing that. If I had, we'll have to see how much more time. What platform are you using? It's the VS4-10 chassis. Custom VS4-10 the VS4-10 chassis with a VFD transmission. SCX-10 3 straight axles underneath of it. A spare right behind the cab would be nice for weight distribution and scale points. I never love spare tires. They just look so big and out of place to me. Like there is kind of okay, but on a lot of, like, I don't know. I just think that it looks way too big. You won't see me running a spare on almost anything because of that. I get the look and I get the appeal. It's just, once it comes down to it for me, I'm just like, "Ugh." And they're so heavy and it's back so far. I don't like to add additional weight when possible. So if I do, I like to keep it forward and low. Find a matching tire. Like, yeah, no matter what the tire, like, I don't like it. So if I'm going to add the extras, I want it forward and low. So bomber style behind the cage. Oh, that would just kill your performance is the problem. Should do it another time. But I was going to say, I need to mock up a bomber interior in there and get that done. I'll probably need to make some custom 3D printed mounts to get that all in place. That body would probably go well with an SCX-10 3 since the frame can be adjusted. You could trim the body a little. Well, I think the body, no matter what you go with, the wheel well is going to sit here. So you're going to have to cut the body if you want to run this size tire, no matter what. Doesn't matter what chassis you're on. And this chassis is built for a VS4-10, so you're kind of out of the way. No matter what, I don't think I would want to move this axle forward. It's just, it would make the wheelbase way too small. And I think that the style of that isn't out of hand, so I wouldn't be concerned with it. I don't think that that's something. I don't think that a different platform would change what's going on for that. On the farm, we had a spare on the front bumper to push cattle. I have seen that. Yes. But yeah, I think this is going to work out pretty well. I do like the straight axle. I think that that's the. I mean. Oh. Thank you. and hot. She made me tea too, in a cup the size of my head. But I think that once it's got an interior, I think that maybe a set of wheel wells modified to it would be a good fit. Radiator in the front grille, set of lights. I don't know that I'll probably think about doing much more. I've made an executive decision. Next chassis will be DOM tubing. Just need to figure out a bender since I've only done that is a yes. Finding a bender right now is actually a little more difficult than I thought for one that will do DOM tubing. One with a nice tight radius. You know, brake line benders are okay, but the radius is a little larger. The one that I'm using isn't available anymore, which kind of sucks. It's like, I don't know. Need to make my own, or make one through Vanquish. Oops. I hit a button. Yes, Nicole is awesome. And there we go. Front axle forward. Now that we're already into the front of the cab when it turns. So moving it forward doesn't really help. The only thing you could do, you can either go to a smaller tire or you can cut the body. Basically it, no matter what. So lift it up, put bigger shocks so it will not rub. Ah! I have feelings about lifting trucks up. That would be. Check Scale Metal Supplies Tools. Used list. They have a great bender on there from. So the one I think from, I'll have to check which one they're talking about is if it's for DOM or if it's for solid rod. I use one for solid rod that I also use. It works great, but Energy 110. Yeah, exactly, right? No taller shocks. 90 mils max. A question on here is saying put rear steer. The problem is when you're building for rear steer, you kind of need to build with it in mind. So on this one, I'll go to the overhead. On this one, you can see this is very square. Now, right here, for example, when you articulate up, like right there, you can actually, the tire already touches. So if you were to try and steer this, it would be hard into the chassis here. So this wouldn't really be conducive to rear steer. It would turn this way okay, because there's an opening where there's like a wheel well, but in the other side it wouldn't. So, and that always happens on one side or the other. Is that why the Gladiator's only getting 32s? And there's your next product. Vanquish Products DOM tight radius. I know, it would be fun. Big tires are sick. I know. So yeah, make it a little wider. I don't think that I'll actually end up going any wider. I don't mind it being just right there at the chassis. Like that's fine. I would rather have it be that than be too wide. I could go one size up in SLW hub. Currently I have a 350 on here. In the front, I also have a 350, but I have a stainless brake weight, so it's the equivalent of a 475. So if I went 475 in the rear too, it would match, and so that would be an option. Is a revolver motor a bad idea in the VFD? No, not at all. It's just as good as an option as anything else. So. I've been using Emerywork Tummy Tuck DOM frame rails on my Wraith for years now, but it'd be nice to make my own. Do you need a special bender for DOM? Yes, kind of. It doesn't need to be like a DOM bender, but it needs to be a bender that actually has a die that has the proper, like has a radius in it, rather than just like some of the more basic Amazon like wire benders. because they'll kink it. You need one that kind of supports it as it goes. So, have you made a 1/10 of your 1-to-1? I have not. So, no, I have not. It looks like a Rubbermaid made truck. The color, kind of, I get where you're going for it. Thoughts on the Rock Hobby 1.6 Jeep? I see a lot of people having fun with it. I don't know. I always think about the 1.6 Willie stuff, and then I'm just like, I don't think it's for me. So I get the appeal. The large scale stuff is cool. I don't know. It's just not for me. Swedgelock makes a tubing bender super tight bends. Rob Banks, that is I'm going to Google search that while we're here. Tubing bender. Let's see. Oh, okay. Well, let's see. Rigid Swedgelock. Let's see what theirs is. This looks like a 1-inch radius, 1 inch to 2 inch outside. So bend shoe for 1 inch. Okay, so their tightest radius is only 1 inch, and that's not too hard to find, but that's a little bit too large. So some of the more custom tubing benders for RC are much smaller than that, like 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch. That's kind of where you want to be. 1 inch makes just too big of swooping bends, and they don't look very scale. Like in here, if this was a 1 inch radius, it would have this kind of like big swooping bend, and it's not the style that I normally go for. So there we go. The bigger the toy, more 1970s Rubbermaid picnic wear color. I have them and they are nice. Oh, that's for the, yeah. If it is hollow tube you're trying to bend, putting sand in it could help. So yeah, so there is the methods of, like sand in the tubes or frozen water with dish soap. But for the most part with DOM, all you need is a decent bender and you're fine. That's the big thing. Because even any of those with a normal like a kink style or a wire bender, it won't necessarily, it'll still push it out of the way. So 10.3 portal axle in the rear. So the problem with that, it would be fun to do a portal front and rear, or a portal rear, solid front or straight front, but you can't flip the third member on the SCX3 portals. Can we now chat about your new coping setup? Ben, we can. Do I have the tools in here? I do not. Ben and I were talking the other day. I bought a new rotary tool, a dedicated one, kind of like a big spindle one, not just like a Dremel size, a little bit larger. And I'm going to mount that into a kind of like a router table setup that I have a 3/16 inch diameter double cut deburr tool mounted into. And that's like I'll just go grab it. I'll be right back. It's like a minefield in here with all the stuff I've moved around today. So I think that maybe the tools are in here, like I thought, but maybe not. What did I've lost them. Darn it. Well, I don't know where they're at, but the so this is the actual rotary tool, and it's got a like a regular 3-jaw chuck on it. And it's just a, you know, it was like a $50 or $60 rotary tool, so nothing crazy. But it is interesting that it has like the 3-jaw. So I can use a 1/4-inch shank bit on it, and I'll mount it with either these 3 screws here or off of this solid bore, depending on how I finally mount it. But I don't know what I did with the deburr tools. Anyway, it's going to stick up, and then I'll be able to press a tube into it at whatever angle I need to actually put a 3/16-inch cope on the tool, or on the tube, so that when they join up to another tube, it's got the proper fit, and then that will make it faster to TIG weld or to braze, because it won't have to flow around things as much. It'll be able to wick properly and will work really well, in theory. What did I do with the tools? They're nice. I bought 2 of them. They're nice carbide. Yeah, I don't know. Ben says, I actually bought a compact trim router and was thinking I would mount it under my welding bench and clamp a fence down. So yeah, I think that would work as well. The only, you know, the only reason I didn't go, or does the trim, I know you have speed. Does your trim router have speed adjustment? That was the one thing I didn't know. This does have a dial speed adjustment, and that was the only thing. I didn't know if the trim router would just be too rowdy to have a deburr bit in and would be too aggressive, because I don't actually own a trim router. So I don't have any experience with it, and I was just like, I'm gonna go this route. So I am building a small router table, exactly. I just didn't know for sure. And I was thinking about having it set up a little bit differently so that I could adjust my angles because a lot of times depending on how the bends are on the tube, you might have to do it from a couple different ways. So yeah, 10,000 to 30,000 RPM. So, okay, it does have adjustment. So yeah, you should be in pretty good shape. But yes, that is the plans. It's basically a little router table. But with that deburr tool, I hope that everything works out to allow me to notch tubing in a more efficient and very loud way. I'm super pissed I can't find those deburr tools, though. I swear I saw them. I bought the carbide ones even, so that they weren't too expensive. I think they're like $15 a piece. We'll see. Tea helps quite a bit. So I don't know. I don't know that this, for this truck, I think that everything kind of worked about how I had planned. I think that this white was the right call. Whoever mentioned to steal it off of that truck I think had the right idea. We'll see if these ever find their way back onto another project. Do you have a milling machine? I do have a milling machine. I've got a Stepcraft CNC router. Well, so it's a CNC router table. That's not really a mill. Kind of is. You can kind of use it like a CNC mill, but not like a. I actually have a CNC mill, but it's still back in Kansas City. It's a TAG desktop CNC mill. So one day, like maybe I'll get that back. It needed a new controller, and I just never got around to it. Someone said I showed them Wednesday. I thought I did. Oh, I bet I know what I. Haha. I put them back in my mail call box from Wednesday. Yes. So there's the little bit. Quarter-inch diameter shank, 3/16 diameter on that part. So, thank you for the reminder that jogged my memory properly. Haha. You could also make a jig for the lathe. That is true. My lathe is kind of in like an awkward corner of my shop though. And that's, you know, it's also a little bit, it doesn't have the speed that this, that rotary tool will. So I figure I could mow through some tubing a lot faster with that. What welder do I run? I run a Razor Weld 160p TIG welder. I've had it for 7 or 8 years probably at this point. It's worked great for me. 1-to-1 notcher, I see the tube stationary and drill moves to the handle, angles, router. Oh, yeah. So the, 1-to-1 notchers, like the manual style with the drill, yeah, they do go that route. And if we were as precise at our scale, like it's so tiny. And if it was as easy to do it as as that in our scales full size, I probably would, but I don't think that that's the route that it'd be a little bit harder to do that in ours. So that color reminds me of the tiles in my bathroom back in the 80s. Will you be going to any upcoming comps? Loved your scale national coverage. Yeah, there's lots and lots of plans for this year, so we shall see. But I'm definitely planning to do more of them, and I hope to cover them in similar ways. Scale Nationals was a lot, and I'm dropping frames. Frames. And we're crawling out. We'll see. Man, still dropping. Okay. Oh, still dropping frames. Apologize. Nicole is looking up pictures of the new cat. That's what's taking all the internet. Okay, hopefully we are coming back, but for now, I don't know why right now my bit rate is crazy high, but okay, should be recovered. Some weird glitch, and that's how that happens. The LitterBot is downloading an update. That's pretty funny. I like that excuse the best. So yeah, that was pretty much what I wanted to get accomplished today. It went pretty smoothly, and yeah, I think that's about as happy as I could be with how this thing showed up. It was about what I expected. I hadn't ever used this body before, so seeing the retro style cut of that fender makes a lot of sense, and we'll see from there. Scott O'Blander, random Vanquish parts question. To replace an SCX-10 2-axle ring with integrated locker, I need the Vanquish gears and separate locker. Do the screws needed come included with the locker or the gears? Yes, the screws are included with the gears. Yes, I think they're included. They're either included with the gears or with the locker. One or the other. I can't remember which one though off the top of my head. Apologize. I should remember that, but I don't. So yeah, I'll send you a message on website. Pele, you can also send it on my Instagram or my Facebook page. My Harley Designs Instagram or Facebook. That's pretty easy. Or yes, you can email me through my website and I can reply and then you can attach photos. So either way. Upgrade your wired connection to 2.5 gig hardware. I know. I could, but I don't think that it's my connection between there. I think it's just we'll see. I probably could do that. Maybe that would, we should see. I think I'm only gigabit at this point. I got screws with the underdrive gears, if that helps. Okay, so yeah, I think it is with the gears. That's what I thought because, so yeah. Are you still working on the SCX24? I have all kinds of stuff here for my SCX24 to finally start on it. So yes, that is, that there will be a plan for that. You guys will see it once it all kicks off. But it was just one of those things. I'm waiting until I get a number of other things done before I jump into any of that. Something like this was just a quick throw together. So not something I'm really going to spend a ton of time on, but something that I can throw together in a live stream and then it'll sit around until I need something to do on another live stream. So I'm sure you guys will see this thing progress as time goes because it will likely mainly be getting worked on probably mainly on Sunday shows, really. That's just how some of these projects go. But it's a pretty good looking one. I'm happy. I think it was worth the investment. But let's go for just a handful more minutes and then we'll wrap this one up. Where is Suki? Suki is out there, I'm sure, walking circles around Nicole. Suki is obsessed with Nicole. That is definitely, Nicole is her human. What kinds of things go into if a roundabout is needed? Fantastic question. So there's called signal warrants. And signal warrants, it's based on the traffic of cross streets and at different times, either 24-hour period or peak hours. And if something doesn't meet traffic signal warrants, which I think there's 8 different warrants that it can meet, then a roundabout is oftentimes an option. There you go. Is there a Vanquish 24th axles coming? Oh, wait, don't answer that. Probably not. 24 scale stuff is not, the parts are so inexpensive from overseas manufacturers that honestly, it's something that we can't necessarily be even reasonably competitive with. It just takes the amount of machine time to do them is not much more than 1/10 scale stuff. So to be competitive, someone's not going to pay $50 or $45 for a set of SCX24 knuckles when you can buy a set for $7. And it's just, so, it's some of those markets is just not a market that a U.S. manufacturer can be competitive in. Hit the like button if you're still watching. Appreciate it as always. Josh has been waiting for that roundabout question his whole life. You guys want to hear about traffic signal warrants? I can tell you about all the different ones. Well, most of the different ones. Civil engineering speed round. Yeah. Can I ask what you did before working at Vanquish? Just curious. I was a civil engineer, professional civil engineer, and I worked in traffic engineering. So I worked in the design of things like traffic signals, but mainly what I specialized in was construction sequencing of massive engineering projects like $100 million plus roadway projects. So like if you had a huge roadway design work, and you've got the finished design and you have the current situation, there's a whole thing that goes in called construction sequencing, where you have to design how you're going to build it while maintaining traffic. And there can be certain requirements to maintaining traffic by the local municipalities or things like that. So doing that whole process can take, I'd be on a project for 2 years at times. You know, I could have 5 or 10 projects at a time, but one project may actually take 2 years to get through. So, and it's a huge puzzle of figuring out how you can build bridges over top of roadways and how the differences in grade all affect each other. It's a fascinating world, and I really enjoyed it, but I enjoy toy cars more. How do you determine how far apart hydrants are? You know what? I don't know that question. I never did that. So, all right, we'll go for 5 more minutes, and then we're going to cut this off. Noah, is it a problem my wife says I like building kits more than driving them? Absolutely not. I think building is the best part of it. So I would agree. I also enjoy the building more than the driving. Are you wearing Crocs today? Let's see him. I'm not wearing Crocs, and I'm not showing you my bare feet. This is not the live stream for that. And then you have everything planned out perfectly, and the construction company screws it all up anyway. It is funny when you draw those plans. Literally, you place every single cone or barrel or barricade that you see when you're driving through those. Every one of those was drawn at a very specific spacing that's defined by the speed of the construction speed limit. They're spaced very specifically. Need a short course truck track with a roundabout for the challenge. Oh, yes. Will you be making a tactical hit bag to compete against Matt's? Ooh, that's a good question. Apparel will all be up to Nicole, so we'll have to see. I don't know that she shares my same tactical hit bag feelings, but we'll see. That's up to her. They decided to widen the 10 through Pomona to Fontana. I don't know Southern California that well. All I know is that everything down there is just, it's a madhouse. Every time I drive through there, like, terrible. Do you have Fred Flintstone feet? No, I have fairly regular appearing feet. They're just broken on the inside. The inside is where all of my issues are. Everywhere. I'm broken on the inside. Better to help you push that Jeep. Oh, I know. My Jeeps both run currently. What happened to the orange t-shirt today? You know, you have to choose which day. It's so early in the morning. I don't feel like orange so early in the morning sometimes. Can you design rock crawling courses? Sure. I've designed many courses at many competitions. What do we do with this truck? I was out crawling. Thanks, Moose Jaw. Did you get the micro shark kit? I did not. That was not one that I jumped on. They are cool. I just never jumped on it. 6% of the U.S. population is in Southern California. I mean, it makes sense why traffic sucks, but I'm not arguing that at all. As someone who lived in California for a few years, there's no more effed up traffic than Cali's effed up traffic. Yeah. I-5 has been a train wreck as long as I can remember, and I'm 30. Yeah. My Southern California experience does not go that far back, but even still. So anyway, all right, let's call this one for the day. You guys were awesome. I appreciate everybody joining in. Thank you to all of you. Hope you have an awesome rest of your Sunday. I've got more work to do. So we'll see you guys next time. And Scott, thank you very much. Money for better internet. Much appreciated. So we will see you guys. What do we got? Scale news, Wednesday takeover, next Friday night. I got a kit from Brian to build. So we'll see you guys then. Later.